What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dope Insight. I'm your host, Fang,
I'm Xinyang.
and welcome to our podcast. So today we have a guest speaker, lead gen consultant with Skymark Agencies, as well as founder and entrepreneur of Young and Struggling, Kim Yang.
Hello, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'd love to have you here. Been really excited, actually. I think you're actually one of the first people we had on our list when we were looking out to have who to bring in. So pretty glad we actually got you here, especially since you live so far now.
So hard. I mean, hey, I got family here. You guys are friends, old friends, and for sure, I was super happy to be on here.
Yeah, so us and Kim, we've known each other for at least over like 5 years now.
It has to be, yeah.
Yeah, we've been good friends, and then you recently moved to Atlanta.
I did.
Correct? And how about you tell us a little bit what you're doing over there right now?
Well, right now, like I said, like you guys mentioned, I am a lead gen consultant, CEO and founder of Skymark Agency, and Young and Struggling as well. You know, I had to wear the shirt, had to represent a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing down there. Have some friends and family, but right now I'm living on my own, my boyfriend and I, and some roommates. And so, I'm working near downtown Atlanta. Right now I'm focusing a lot on PR and building relationships, building rapport with people, and I think it's super important business. And so that's my main focus right now. But also I specialize in lead generation. If you guys don't know what lead generation is, I help business owners generate customers. Customers are basically leads. And so I help business owners, businesses, professionals generate leads for their business. So that's what's going on down there for me.
That's dope.
Yeah, it is pretty dope.
So yeah, I guess you already talked about what you do as a lead generation consultant. So no, that's pretty good. I guess so you're a lead generation consultant, but you're also an entrepreneur and a founder of your own brand, Young and Struggling.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Young and Struggling? What is Young and Struggling? Why did you make it? What does it mean to you? And what are you hoping that it does for others?
All right. Well, Young and Struggling, like I said, I think I was just mentioning it to you guys before that. If you guys don't know who Gary Vee is, I listen to him a lot, and so I was listening to one of his podcasts as well, and someone asked him, like, do you script out your podcast or your videos before you record? And he's just like, no, like, if you talk about something you're passionate about or something you love, like, you can talk about it forever.
Exactly.
So it made me think. I was like, what can I talk about forever? And I was like, my struggles, because they're unique to me. Right. And just like you guys, all your struggles, all your stories are all unique to you. And so I know that I can speak upon my struggles and my experiences better than anyone else can. And it just makes sense to talk about from where you were, where you're coming from, rather than speaking on behalf of everyone else. And so I think if you can speak about your own stories and your experiences and share those, then I think it's gold. I think it's so pure and so raw. So that's where the struggling came in. And then young, a lot of people think that Young and Struggling is just for young kids or just young people in general. And I originally thought of it to be more millennial like at first, but to me, young isn't just translated by age. Okay, so let me tell you guys, the young and struggling is being new to a new experience, right? Like when you first go into something new or jumping into something new, you're very immature about it. And not by immature about like you're thinking, like you think like a kid or anything like that, but you're just new to the space. Like in business, I was new to the space of business and I felt like I was young in my perspective and young in my thinking. And so that's where I thought about the young part, right? Being completely unexperienced and just vulnerable in a new environment, in a new space. And that's how I felt when I was in Georgia. You know, I didn't know, I knew a good amount of people, but within business, I didn't know too many people. And so that's where I felt like I was young. And then young just fits so much better with Young and Struggling because a lot of people associate struggling with like younger people, like college people, college kids, college graduates. And so that's what I am. I just recently graduated in 2018. And so I'm just like, yeah, I'm struggling right now. I'm young, but also that's where the young comes from.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing either.
It's not. You know. It's not. And I mean, everyone's struggling at, to some extent, whether you want to admit it or not. I think we're always going to there's never a point where we're not struggling. Either that's mentally, physically, anything. Spiritually or emotionally, anything. We're always struggling with something.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because our slogan is actually live to strive and love the process. And that's pretty much saying like, whatever you do, we want you to go, head on.
Right,
and,
right.
No fear and just really attack what you're going for. But at the same time, you really got to love what you're doing to really, succeed.
Exactly. Like, be in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fully in it.
Yeah, I completely agree. The term I always use for this is called growing pains. And it's like, you never really know until you do it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but unless you do it, you never know. So, it's really in itself.
It really is. And so, yeah, that's where the young and struggling came from. And then like the logo thing, it's like a battery. I don't know. It took me some time to think about this. With like the logoing, it's because it's like, what's struggling? How does that, like, what do you visualize? What do you think about when you think about struggling? And so I was like, like what's that one thing that you think about when you think about struggling? And so I was like,
my phone is about to die.
That's what I thought. I was just like, dude, when your phone's like at like 2% and you just have like no outlet or something like that, like it's like you're struggling.
So just to clarify, in case you guys can't see the logo right now,
Yeah.
The logo is actually kind of like the battery symbol, like on your phone when it's about to die. It's really low.
Yeah, it's like red.
Yeah, and it's red.
I don't know. Sometimes creating logos and stuff, it takes a few times to like revamp it.
I totally agree.
Right? It takes a few times, but I don't know. This one just kind of stuck. We did so many different like logos and stuff like that and different designs, but I don't know. This one just kind of stuck. Who knows? It might change, but this is what it is now. This is what Young and Struggling is. So
when you started doing Young and Struggling, was it just you, or did you have other people who were kind of in on it with you, or did you reach out to other people for help?
No, not really. Actually, it was just really on me.
Okay.
I mean, I spoke to my cousin Pang about it often, just like, because we started Young and Hustling. We started something like that too.
Yeah.
Just like mindset, like entrepreneurs and like motivation for hustling.
Right.
But then I don't know, that didn't really kick off as well. We're still working on it. But then Young and Struggling was more of my idea and being more personal to my struggles, because I thought like, what's the best example than myself? Right, I can speak upon it. And overall, Young and Struggling, what I really wanted to do was create a space to have people come in and share their experiences, to share their struggles, because I think that through listening to other people's struggles, it could uplift someone else. I know everyone's situation is not the same, but we're all human and we go through a lot of the same things. Like, we're a lot more similar than everyone thinks.
Yeah. And
so I think through your experience that you share yours, I can learn something and it could help me within my struggles. So that's kind of where I wanted to take Young and Struggling. It's a perspective. That's I think the most. That's what I really wanted it to be, a perspective, and to teach people to have more perspective on your struggles and my struggles, and that we're just people, but we're going through different things, and that's okay. We're at different points in our lives, and it's okay. Like, I just think people just need to own up to their struggles and what they're going through, and really be in it and live it and appreciate it, and that's just really what Young and Struggling is, and so.
Yeah, so we know that you really picked up everything from here, and you left all the people here, and you just really just went forward, and you moved to Atlanta to start your own business, and we watched a video of yours called From Broke to CEO, where you're telling about your path. So tell us exactly like what it really took to get where you are at now, and what you should be, or what people should expect from you, like, to come forward.
What to expect moving forward, huh?
Yeah. Like, what are your future goals now, and really, what did it take to really get here?
Oh, man. To start out, I'm nowhere near I want to be yet.
Yeah.
But I am further than where I was before. And I think that's something to be content with and to be happy about, and to celebrate your little successes. But you said when you really just left Milwaukee, I was like, yeah, I did. It was kind of like out of the blue.
Yeah,
I didn't tell too many people. No.
Yeah, it was funny because when I messaged you to join our podcast, I didn't even know you moved.
Really?
Yeah.
I know. But it was like, I didn't want to have like a huge social blast and be like, guys, I'm moving, because I'm like, who cares? No one really cares. They're going through their own things. Like, who cares if you're going to Georgia?
Yeah.
Like,
and at the end of the day, what you're doing is what's best for you.
Right. But starting at the top, it was definitely a very bumpy road for me. I actually didn't move to Atlanta to start my own business. It wasn't even in my mind at that time. I moved out in January of this year, but I had no intention actually really doing that. Entrepreneurship was something that I was looking into, but I don't know if you guys know what drop shipping is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I started off drop shipping last year, end of 2018.
Oh, you did it.
I did. And then also just like ClickBank and affiliates, things of that sort. And so I was doing a lot of research on that. And there's a lot of money to be made online.
I actually also tried ClickBank for a little while.
Yeah, right? It's easy money if you think about it. It's easy. I think people just complicate it. And so that's what I was doing. And honestly, I didn't even have a job secured before I moved out to Atlanta. And a lot of people, especially like my family and just people around the church, they're like, what are you doing down there? And it didn't really help that my boyfriend lived down there. So it was kind of like everyone,
you're moving down for
basically
your boyfriend?
everyone was just like, you're just moving because your boyfriend's down there.
Yeah.
And me being a little prideful, I was just like, no, I'm not. Like,
offended.
I'm not.
Very offended.
I denied it for so long. And I'm still deny it right now, okay? I'm going to admit it, but I'm going to deny it too. My boyfriend was down there, yes. But also, I just graduated college. And I thought, like, I was born and raised in Milwaukee. And I was like, now's the time. If there's any other time in my life, like, now's the time after college to just go and move, take a risk, take a chance, and just go and start a life somewhere else, with people that you don't really know, you're not really used to. So I really dove into, like, being uncomfortable, like, in a new place, and just a ton of discomfort.
Yeah.
A ton of discomfort. And I think that's where your growth sparks. When you're in situations where you're really uncomfortable and it's awkward, it's weird, I think that's when you grow the most, because you learn things about yourself, you learn things about other people, and I think you're just so much more aware and self-aware. And so that's what I did. I moved down, and I don't know, I hit some dark times down there, man.
Yeah.
Being alone, away from family, it's the first time. And so I was like, I mean, I didn't like spend nights crying or anything like that, but I just felt like this void in me, being so far away, like so lonely. Like even though my boyfriend was there, I got to see him like almost every day. It just felt super lonely. And I think that's also part of the path of entrepreneurship, even though I wasn't on it yet, if that makes sense.
So this was before you started Young and
way
Struggling?
before.
So when did you start Young and Struggling?
Throughout, like it had to be mid this year.
Okay, and you moved back in...
Moved back.
Or when you moved to Atlanta.
Okay, when I moved to Atlanta was January.
Yep.
But then like Young and Struggling had to be like 3 or 4 months after that.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's all like within this year. Sorry if it wasn't clear.
No,
like
that's
that.
good. I just wanted to make sure to clip the timeline.
Yeah. So it was just like I was just in a really dark spot, dark time in my life, and like I've never felt that way. And so that's where the Young and Struggling came up, because I was like, man, I'm going through so many things, so many feelings and emotions I've never experienced, which is strange to say because you think you know yourself. Then you're put in a different situation, and then you're challenged, and you don't know how to react. And so there was a ton of that in Georgia, and I felt like I was on my own, felt really lonely, and so I don't know. I had to figure something out. I found my team right now that I'm working with Skymark Agency, that they're able to help me to motivate me and to have a clear vision of where I wanted to go long term. And so then Young and Struggling sparked, and then I decided I wanted to be my own an agency owner, which is what I'm doing. And so that's where I'm in. That's what happened. And then that's kind of where I am now then. Cool. But if it wasn't for my team though, that specifically, I mean, I don't know. I didn't know if I wanted to. You guys can cut this part out, but no, I don't have to say his name or anything like that. But it's Land Clients. Once I joined a online course called Land Clients, put that out there. It really helped me change my mindset, because business is really mindset.
You said land
clients.
Land clients.
Land clients.
So what exactly did you learn? Well, actually, hold up. Before we get to there, I just kind of want to highlight something that Kim went through that I think was really important, and it was that she forced herself to go into an uncomfortable spot. Yeah. She had to put herself out of her comfort zone, and by putting herself in an uncomfortable zone, she was able to grow a lot and start what she has going now for her. So I think that's an important value point to take away, because I've seen a lot of people who say they want to do this and say they want to start that, but they always just talk ideas and they never actually do it. But I think a lot of that has to do with being stuck in your comfort zone. If you're comfortable, you can always say something, but then if you don't do it, then you're fine, because you got things to back you up. But once you throw yourself into kind of out there in the wild, then if you don't actually do it, you're kind of stuck, right? You're kind of out of luck. So I just wanted to highlight that really quick. So let's go back into land clients. So what exactly did you learn from land clients? How was land clients valuable to you?
Oh man, mindset for sure. Well, I'll just say Elliot Drake. I got into contact with him via YouTube.
Okay.
And then he introduced me to the course, and then got into the course, and then his courses are split into like different modules, and the first module is like mindset and your perspective going into business. And I talk to him all the time about it. I'm just like, everyone talks about like, yeah, I got into land clients and I made this much amount of money, but for me it was more mindset, because if your mind's not right, your business ain't gonna be right. And so that's where he helped me the most, because he helped me. No one really talks about like what it takes to go into business. Everyone tells you can make this much money, but no one tells you
They give you clickbait.
Exactly. I mean, it happens, but that's the thing. Like, people don't tell you what it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I really want to do with Young and Struggling too, is be able to talk about that. I mean, I know I come from more of an entrepreneur / business perspective, but it's tough. Business is tough, and so that's mainly a part of what I learned from land clients.
But the biggest takeaway you'd say?
Oh yeah, it would be the biggest takeaway that is the mindset portion.
Okay.
Because once you get your mindset right, you can go in and do all the research and find everything that you want. Once your mindset, if you have that motivation and that mindset, and you can motivate yourself to do it, and you don't have to depend on anyone else to kind of guide you through everything, you will do it. You will find the answers, right?
Right.
You'll do it. You'll do whatever it takes. And so I think you have to have your mindset right first. And so I'm not saying mine's perfect, but it's getting better and better every day.
Right. And I mean, I don't think anyone's ever perfect, right?
Of course.
So, you learn a lot now, and then in a year you can say, wow, everything I was thinking back then seems so mature. I feel like I know so much more now. And it just continues to happen like that. So.
Exactly. I know my story's like really all over the place, because
that's all right.
That's kind of how I feel. There's like so many different moving parts that have like helped get me to where I am now.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, that's a little bit of the gist of that. But just thinking about the road. It's been a bumpy road, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Like you said, it's young and struggling, and I know a big part of a lot of your videos was talking about it from a woman's perspective, or more importantly, from a Hmong woman's perspective.
Yes.
So, what would you say? What kind of advice would you give to, say, a Hmong woman that's trying to pursue entrepreneurship or a business, and what would you say to them to kind of give them advice to go through it?
Oh man, you have. It's a touchy subject for me.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure.
Because I feel like no matter what I say too, people can take it either way. Mm-hmm. But I mean, faced like from real talk, I think it's gonna be tough, and you're gonna get a lot of backlash from maybe your family. But I think everyone kind of does in entrepreneurship sometimes too. But especially for being a Hmong woman, it's tough because there's a lot of cultural expectations. And going into business and really being like a trailblazer, it's not like attractive, or it's not common. And I feel like not a lot of women get support for that in the Hmong community. And it could, because it takes a lot to step out of like the culture norms and to do something different, and to go and pursue your dreams, or pursue entrepreneurship, or pursue anything really. And once you step out of that, like I feel like you get a lot of backlash from your family and the community, because it's like, you should be here with your family. You should be doing this or that at home. You shouldn't be going out. You shouldn't be meeting all these other people and whatnot. And so I think that's really discouraging mentally.
Yeah.
And we're not as encouraged. Well, I can't speak for everyone. But what I think, or what I kind of feel like, is that Hmong women aren't encouraged as much to go out and pursue what you want to do and be who you want to be. And I think that's really tough as is, especially when you think that you'd get the most support from your family and friends.
Right.
Those are usually the ones that kind of knock you down the most. And it's really tough. It's really been a draining and emotionally draining process. And I actually encourage everyone, if you're trying to do business, being a woman, I am like, I support you all the way. And because I know how it is, and I'm not there yet, but it's going to be really hard. It's going to be very tough. Like, I can't even explain it. It's so I don't know. It's
So-
just like
So just to add a little context to Kim's story, so the Hmong culture is typically, traditionally, seen as a patriarchal culture where males kind of run the household of everything, the house, their families, and women are typically, what is the word? Submissive, where they listen to the males of the household.
expected to, yeah.
They're the housewives, they clean, but they don't do anything more than what they're supposed to do. So on top of entrepreneurship already being as hard as it is, Kim's also had to battle those cultural expectations, and she has to break those. And then there's also the being a woman itself, So
Of course.
there's a lot of battles that she's had. So that's what she really wanted to highlight there.
And there's so many like different hats.
Right.
You
right,
know?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, because when you put this hat on, it like interferes with this, and then you can't get that done, and it's so tough, guys. I think there's no other word I can.
Yeah.
It's
You
like
can-
so hard to explain.
You can be like, oh, here's my parents are around. Let me be a good Hmong traditional woman.
Girl, yeah, like
And then
what I have to do.
It's like, oh, hey, my friends want to go out. Yeah, I'm gonna go out. And it's a different kind of hat.
Yeah. It's really hard. It's just I think there's just that lack of support, and support goes a long way. Like when you feel like someone believes in you, like especially your family, you can like strive. You can go. I feel like you can like reach for the moon if like you have everyone on your back, like on your side, supporting you all the way. But I can't speak for everyone else's families and friends, but that's something that I had to face as well. Of course, like we said before, a lot of people just thought I moved down to Atlanta for my boyfriend,
Right.
which I'm still not going to admit. But it's tough. That's what I became labeled as. Like, you just moved down for your boyfriend.
Okay.
No one really thought to ask me about anything else that I was trying to pursue.
So we're gonna settle this right here.
Okay.
So why did you select Atlanta of all places?
Well, mainly because I had some family down there.
Okay.
Now, this is like blood family. And so it was easier to convince my parents that I wanted to go down there because they knew that we had family there.
Okay.
I mean, if I was in Cali, I would have been gone. Like, we probably wouldn't even have this podcast right now. It's like, it's so expensive to go back and forth there.
Oh.
And Atlanta, it's not really. And so, and I had a lot of volleyball friends down there. I know quite about a few people. Plus, Atlanta is growing. It is growing, and it's, I don't know. It's very diverse, too, and I really like that. So, yeah, that's why I like
Well, there you go. Now that's your argument. You have family down there.
yeah.
You can just. I'm sure you already told your parents and they didn't care, but.
I mean, plus I was fresh out of college, so everyone's like expecting you to have a job right out of college,
Right.
which is like another topic where it's just like I don't think people should expect going into college that right when you graduate you're gonna have this high paying job. That's why I feel like people put into like kids' mindsets going into the educational system that if you graduate you're gonna get a good job.
Well, I definitely think that. I
It
know
helps.
being in high school or going through our public education system,
Right.
you're definitely fed to go straight to college after
Right,
high school.
right.
Yeah.
But that's definitely not a route for everyone.
It
Not
isn't.
everyone's a school person, and people can be successful in other ways
Oh yeah.
just as much as people who go to college can.
But the thing is that like I feel like a lot of people don't get introduced to those other ways that you're talking about. of
If I had
being
learned
success.
entrepreneurship and actual business things when I was younger, I
Yeah.
would have pursued that.
Exactly.
I just think the way our educational system is built is to make us really good workers, but not really.
employees.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
what I said. Like
exactly.
they make us employees, not
Yeah.
employers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I agree.
So I think it's great though. Like I know we all go through our struggles and setbacks, but at the end of the day, we're really trying to do more with what we can get.
Yeah.
More than what we're offered. And us being young entrepreneurs, that's what we're really trying to do, bring in
Right.
all these young entrepreneurs so we can really connect and give back to the community.
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end of the day.
Definitely. And adding on to that, it's just like our parents in the Hmong culture too. It's like they came over to the United States and that's what they were like. They saw that like when you go to school, you're gonna get a good job, and that's what they did. They worked, they did whatever they could to support their families at the time.
Yeah.
But I mean that was a few years back, and now at this time and age, it's you can be an entrepreneur and be very successful. But then they weren't introduced to that either.
Exactly. So
So it's
they can't
it's-
hold that expectation to you because
Exactly.
they didn't know about it.
Right. But then like also like at our time now, like you can't get mad at them for thinking that way because
Yeah.
right. So that's something that a lot of people don't understand as well. And I think that's where a little perspective comes in, where you have to consider that, that's why your parents are kind of giving you a hard time
Yeah.
and saying go to school, but you're just like, dude, you don't need to go to school for this and that.
Yeah.
But I understand like school isn't for everyone, but that's what they were taught growing up, and so they're teaching their kids, and so, we all just gotta like, I think we should share a little bit. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
how can we fix that?
We all really need to share with each other,
Right.
us and the older generation, because they came here, they didn't have the opportunities we have.
Exactly.
They weren't able to go to school and get an education
Right.
as easily accessible as it is for us. So I think that in their heads, because we're not taking that easy route,
Yeah.
they're kind of like, you have it so easy and you could do it this way, but you choose to be a risk taker instead.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to understand them, but they have to understand us as well, that we don't want to settle. When we can do more.
And I think being the younger generation, we can understand them. Yeah. But oftentimes, I feel like they don't understand us very well.
I know. And I think that's one thing that you would face, too, if you take the path of, like, entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Being in the Hmong culture. But, it takes time. I mean, I always tell, like, my family tell me, they're like, you're paving the way for the rest of the kids.
No, that's true.
It really is, yeah.
And it's like if you're a Hmong entrepreneur, like just Hmong entrepreneur in general, like there's obviously a few Hmong entrepreneurs, I guess you could say, like Hmong Town and Hmong Village and all these things, right? The shop owners and stuff like that. But it's like being able to step out and be something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like we're trying to do.
Right.
And so once you see the next generation of Hmong kids come up, and they'll see these as examples of role models and stuff like that. And it's like, oh wow, yeah, I can do this,
Right.
I think that's why it's important for us to do what we're doing.
You're right. I think this gives them an opportunity to see, or this gives them a chance to see the opportunities that they could have.
Yeah.
I think that's really great. That's why I think the Dope Insight is really cool.
So, I mean, if there's really one thing that you wanted people to take away from this podcast, with you as our guest speaker, what would it really be if you had one message to send to them?
Oh, I think it's to have a lot of perspective and understand that entrepreneurship is not an easy path. And it's a long-term, you have to have long-term vision. It's not like it's not a get money fast scheme.
Yeah.
For sure, at all.
And that's all everyone wants, though. Get rich quick.
But it's like you're right now in the beginning of entrepreneurship, you have to you're setting all the systems right now, and you're setting the foundation. You're putting things into place. And I know it might take a long time, but with some perspective, with some understanding, and build your relationships. I think that's like one of the top things right there. Build your relationships, even though don't expect to get money out of people.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't expect, like if I meet a billionaire, I'm not trying to get his money. I'm trying to understand and learn how he got that money. Right. You know what I'm saying?
If I can learn what he does, then I can make just as much.
Exactly. Give someone a fish, they eat for the day.'t teach them how to fish, they eat for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
So I think it's building relationships, having perspective, being respectful, and those go in interchangeably.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. It's this road is really tough, but I'm telling you, it's gonna pay off, and it's so self-fulfilling. I think you learn so much about yourself on the path of entrepreneurship. Gosh, I think so much. You are challenged, and a lot of people don't like to feel that way, but. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Meet those people that you're scared of. Like if you're put in an uncomfortable situation, do it again and again.
Yeah.
It's the learning curve, and so it's gonna take a lot of time, but you have to come to terms with that, and understand that your long-term vision is gonna play out. But it's a long-term vision, so you have to wait for it to play out. But put the work in. Do what you can, meet the right people, and surround yourself with the right people. I think that's super important as well. I don't know. You said 1 point, but I'm saying maybe a ton of points because there's you can't just have 1 point. There's so many things that play a role within entrepreneurship and business, and so I think it's really okay. If I had to pick one, I'd say building those relationships.
Networking.
Yes, definitely. Because it's so important to have those relationships, because even if you don't benefit from it up front, you build that relationship so that if they ever need you, referrals or anything like that.
Right.
It helps so much. It's know, trust. You have to get people to know, and trust you before they would ever buy from you or anything like that, or ever do business with you. And so it's building relationships, whether that's with your business partners or with your customers as well. It's just building relationships and being genuine and providing real value and not, screwing people over.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think those relationships are so important.
Yeah.
I think you could also throw in being transparent.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think sometimes you'll see people who try to fake it to make it.
Yeah.
And then like it's very easy to see, and it's like if you see one of those people, you're like, yeah, I can tell this isn't real.
You see right through it.
Yeah. People will see right through you, and if people don't believe in you, then they're not gonna buy or purchase anything from you.
Of course. So it's just being genuine, being real.
Yeah.
Be yourself. I mean, if yourself is right, get yourself right too. But it's being true, and just talking to people like they're people, like not like you're trying to get the money out of them or anything like that. Like talk to people, learn about their stories, learn from them, learn and gain their seek out wisdom. I think that's the thing. Like people have different stories, different paths. Don't think that you know everything. Be teachable. Yeah. That's one thing I always have to remind myself.
So it's been a long journey for you. Obviously it's September now. You said you moved back and you moved in January, right. So it's almost a year in a few months.
Almost about, yeah.
Between these 8 to 9 months, what would you say is the number one thing that has kept you going all this time?
Oh, it's God. It is for me. It really is. Like throughout my whole journey, there has been ups and downs. And I feel like right now, my path, I always thought to myself, I'm like, why like isn't God like providing me with money or anything like that? I'm working so hard. How come I'm not making any money? And I'm like, well, that's why, because all I thought about was the money.
Yeah.
And then also I think like, well, if God's not, like, I wonder if God's not giving me money because right now I don't know how to handle it. Like if he gave me a large sum of money, I would like just go crazy. Like I'm not disciplined enough yet.
Right. Yeah,
and I think at this point, God's like teaching me and molding me to be able to handle that. You know what I mean? And so that's why I used to think that a lot too. And so it's helped me move through my process. And just trusting him because, dude, if like everyone always says like God provides, right? I have never seen it more than I have within this past year.
Yeah.
Like God really provides. When you're providing real, genuine value to other people and you truly want to help them,
right?
God finds a way to help you. And so it's like reciprocity. Is that the word? Reciprocity.
I know
what I'm talking about?
I know the word.
It's like
reciprocating.
Yeah.
Veracity.
Yeah. That word. But yeah, and so it's definitely been God that's been keeping me going. And my relationship with him through my dark times, like I was saying before, has definitely helped me. And so that's one of the biggest, God has been one of the best motivators and the most help within my journey.
Well, I'm really glad that you've been able to make it through all of that and be here today with us at Dope Insight.
I know. I'm really happy that you guys created Dope Insight.
Yeah.
When they told me, I was super excited. I was just like, no way. Like, you guys chose to make that after I left? So I was like,
sorry.
It takes time, I'm telling you. It's long term.
And it's a great thing that, we're seeing more, just young adults and, young Hmong Americans in general,
for sure.
really starting to branch out and kind of focus on really what they want to do.
Right.
And that's our goal here, to really make relationships and find all these other young entrepreneurs to bring here. So, we can learn from them and they can learn from us at the same time. So it's a lot of give and take, and we're really glad you came down here all the way from Atlanta. Yeah. So, it's an absolute pleasure. So.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming, Kim. Can you tell the audience what? So I guess we talked about what you're doing already.
Right.
What are you going to be doing in the near future, and how can our audience reach you?
Well, in the near future, very near, hopefully, I will be having my agency up and running fully.
Okay.
Fully.
And explain agency more. So they say agency, they're not exactly sure.
Well, agency is it's called. Well, I do digital marketing, and so it's a digital marketing agency. So it's just a full service digital marketing agency where we provide just all services of basically all services of digital marketing. It's really what it is. It's kind of just like my own company, fully up and running. Just having all my systems in place. And then hiring a team. I think that's going to be the most challenging part is finding the right team.
Yeah.
Right.
But I have a lot of mentors, and my current team would definitely help me through that process. So expecting that, I know it's not going to be like next month, but it's coming up, and I'm super excited about it. I have to be, right? And then also I'm looking into real estate as well. I think I mentioned that with you guys. So I'm researching real estate and learning as much as I can about it. So yeah, that you can be expecting that. Also, Young and Struggling shirts or apparel. I'm working on that.
Oh yeah.
It's like there's so many things in my head. I'm trying to write everything down and figure and situate myself. So expect Young and Struggling for sure.
Awesome. And where can they find you again?
You can find me at Kim Yang on Facebook. This is what you mean, right? On
Yeah.
social-
Yeah.
Social
Okay.
media. What's your
On
social media
Facebook.
links?
Like, should I give them a phone number? Oh, no, I was like,
If you really want.
no, that's a cow pass on that. So Kim Yang on Facebook, and also YouTube as well. I think those are and Instagram
Yeah.
for
And-
sure.
And we'll also put Kim's links down below.
Definitely.
Yeah. We'll put them in the
So-
video.
But those are, I have to mention the one I'm on the most. I can't believe I didn't even say this first. LinkedIn for sure. You can. That's probably the platform that I'm on the most, and I'm on it all the time. So I think if anything, LinkedIn.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
look up Kim Yang at LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram,
And YouTube.
and YouTube. And you can check her out there with her brand Young and Struggling, or follow her in her digital marketing career. Well, yeah. So
Yeah. Thank you for coming in.
No, yeah, thank you
flying
so
all the
much
way
for
from Atlanta
having
to
me.
come here to hang out with your old friends
You
here.
know.
So
You know.
it's an absolute pleasure, and thank you guys for listening. And just stay tuned for more dope insight.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Dope Insight. Today we had Kim Yang as our guest, and she shared the struggle she had to overcome as a Hmong female entrepreneur, how having the right perspective will make you successful, and so much more. You can follow Kim on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and you can find those links down below in the description box. And if you could do us a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. This really helps us a lot on YouTube, and that means so much to us. Thanks again, and stay tuned for more Dope Insight.